I'm penning this to convince myself that the past 18 months weren't some bizarre hallucination. My ex-wife left me and threw me out after I got fired. I hit rock bottom for a year. Then I won a $2 million wrongful termination lawsuit. She pleaded to see my new mansion. I'm 38, male, and this feels like a twisted nightmare followed by an odd awakening. It all began, as these things often do, on a Tuesday. I lost my job. It was a cold, corporate purge. They called it downsizing. I called it being escorted out with a box of my belongings and a curt, good luck. I was the main provider. High-pressure job. My wife, Laura, 36, taught yoga part-time, a gig that seemed more about splurging on pricey activewear than actual instruction. For the first couple of weeks, she played the part of a caring partner. She brewed coffee. She said things like, "We'll figure this out," and "Your well-being matters most." But her eyes betrayed her. A glint of worry, a quick mental tally. I'd seen that look before when she coveted an overpriced purse, but knew it was absurdly expensive. By week 3, her supportive mask was crumbling. Her parents, Richard and Margaret, started calling. Their questions weren't about my feelings, but about my job hunt. Richard, a man who'd never known financial strain, suggested I take a job hauling furniture for a friend of his. It wasn't generosity. It was a gauge of my desperation. The final blow came exactly a month after my firing. I was hunched over my laptop, lost in job applications. Laura walked in, not in her yoga outfit, but in a crisp jacket I'd bought her. She looked ready for a boardroom. In a way, she was. "James," she said, her tone devoid of warmth. "I'm done." I looked up. "Done with what?" "It's been a month, Laura. It's rough." "No," she snapped. Us. I can't be chained to a failing venture." A failing venture. After a decade of marriage. That stung. I think I let out a strangled chuckle. "You're joking, right?" She didn't even flinch. "I've thought it through. My parents agree. This isn't what I agreed to. The house is in my name. You should pack a bag. You can crash with Tom, can't you?" The house was indeed in her name, a slick pre-wedding move by her father. Back then it seemed trivial. Now it felt like a perfectly set snare. So I packed. My best friend Tom welcomed me without hesitation, offering his guest room and a steady stream of terrible puns and decent whiskey. The divorce was quick and brutal. Laura and her attorney crushed me. Jobless, broke, and drained, I had no fight left. We'd just poured everything into a massive remodel of her house. She portrayed me as a loser to our friends. She kept the house, the artwork, the new furniture. I was forced to surrender my grandfather's pocket watch, deemed a marital asset for sale. Worse, her brother, Greg, a slick realtor with unnaturally bright teeth, swiped my collection of 3 vintage guitars. He claimed to the lawyers they were cheap fakes I'd bought online, not the valuable pre-marriage assets they were. I watched him load them into his truck, and he had the nerve to pat my back and say, "Keep your head up, pal. Better times coming." For the next year, I was lost. I took a job delivering groceries to scrape by. I lived on ramen. I dodged calls from mutual friends clearly fishing for dirt for Laura. It was my lowest point. But rock bottom? It's a strangely sturdy place to rebuild. And I had a hidden ace. While schlepping artisanal produce to wealthy moms, I was quietly working with a razor-sharp employment lawyer. My downsizing wasn't just bad luck, it was unlawful. I had emails, I had a recorded call, I had evidence. The divorce finalized in May. I was a single, broke 38-year-old in a friend's spare room. Laura, per her social media, was thriving and embracing her independence. Yesterday, my lawyer called. The company, faced with my airtight evidence, opted to settle rather than face a public trial. Thanks for the messages and support. It's oddly reassuring to know I'm not losing it. Some asked about my first move. A sports car? Nah, not my vibe. First, I cried. Sat in my car for 10 minutes, letting a year's worth of pain and shame spill out. It was freeing. Next, I called Tom. I shared the news, and he burst into laughter. I sent him $50,000 during the call, for the rent, the whiskey, the awful puns, for being a true friend when I had nothing. He tried to say no, but I told him to buy that overpriced guitar he's always wanted. Then I got practical. Financial planner, safe investments, the dull stuff. I'm also buying a house. It's not finalized. Inspections and paperwork are ongoing. But I made a cash offer last week, and it's been accepted. Closing is a few weeks out, but just knowing it's real feels huge. It's a sleek, modern place with floor-to-ceiling windows and a pool overlooking a private lake. A far cry from Tom's guest room. The idea of my own space, my own coffee pot, my own front door. It's incredible. Word of my windfall spread fast. I rejoined my old upscale gym. A few former friends saw me there. Jaws hit the floor. The gossip mill churned. Laura's first text came last Tuesday night. James? Hi. Heard you're back and buying a house? Amazing. So thrilled for you. Can we catch up? I stared at that text for an hour. The nerve. Those exclamation points felt like tiny jabs. So thrilled, sure. I kept it cool and replied with something I'd seen in another story. It fit. Me. Noted. Her typing bubbles appeared and vanished for 20 minutes. She was unraveling. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Sarah, Laura's best friend and gossip ringleader. James? Oh my gosh, I heard about the house by the lake. You sly fox. She giggled. Hey, Sarah. Laura's really happy for you, but she's a bit hurt by your cold text. I nearly laughed. Was it? I've been busy. Well, she feels awful about how things ended, Sarah prattled, her tone dripping with fake concern. Her parents pushed her. It wasn't really her, you know. The woman who called me a failing venture and let her brother steal my guitars. Not her. Silence. She was emotional, Sarah fumbled. She just wants to talk. Clear things up. She still cares, James. That's kind of her, I said evenly. But my air's clear. I'm focused on my new chapter. That old one's closed. I hung up before she could respond. Then I went to the closet in Tom's guest room and pulled out a box. Inside were the original receipts and appraisals for my guitars. I snapped photos of them. Then I found Greg's smug grin on his realtor website. I sent the photos and his office address to my lawyer with a note. Let's recover my property. Things got wilder. I thought they'd back off. Wrong. When you cut off entitled people, they don't vanish. They get louder. Start with Greg. My lawyer, who clearly loves her work, sent him a crisp letter. It listed the guitars, their insured value, and proof they were mine before the marriage. He had two choices: return them in perfect condition within 7 days, or face a police report for felony theft and a civil suit for their value plus damages. Greg called, fuming. James, what's this nonsense? Your lawyer's threatening me. Hi, Greg, I said calmly. The letter's clear. You took my property based on a lie. Deadline's Tuesday. Talk to my lawyer. I hung up. He returned them. Tuesday morning, a rickety van pulled up outside Tom's building, puzzling the neighbors. 2 guys dropped the guitar cases in the lobby. I opened them. My cherished 1964 Strat had a massive neck crack, and the vintage Gibson was splattered with what looked like wine stains. I took 50 high-res photos. My lawyer filed a small claim suit against Greg for repair costs and diminished value. $8,500. He was served at his office, in front of his co-workers. Oops. Then came Laura's parents. Margaret left frantic voicemails. Disappointed in your actions. Petty and cruel. You're wealthy now. Be generous. My lawyer sent them a polite cease and desist. But Laura herself was the main act. After her allies failed, she came straight at me. Tearful texts about her mistake and missing me. When I didn't bite, she upped the ante. She sent a photo from our Paris trip. A cheap shot, her text. Remember this? That was us. I messed up, James. I was scared. I heard your house closed. It must be stunning. Can I see it? I just want to apologize in person. The manipulation was so blatant, it was almost admirable. I screenshotted it. Then I sent one final email. Subject: Communication. Dear Laura, per our finalized divorce, our matters are settled. Your persistent contact, and that of your family, is inappropriate. Your request to visit my home is denied. This is my last word on this. Further contact will be considered harassment. Best wishes, James. I attached the divorce decree PDF. Then I blocked her number, her parents', Sarah's. I built a digital fortress. I thought that was it. How wrong I was. It's done. I'm writing this from my new office desk, gazing at the lake. The move was hectic, but for the first time in nearly 2 years, I feel at home. The past few months were a lesson in people dodging accountability. The small claims case against Greg was a riot. He showed up in a suit, ready to argue. I showed the judge the appraisal photos and the damaged guitar shots. The judge barely glanced at Greg before granting me the full $8,500. Tom said Greg's realtor business thrives on his trustworthy image. A public theft and damages judgment doesn't help. Laura's social circle collapsed. Her vindictive ex story crumbled when people saw I hadn't attacked her. I'd just sent legal letters and blocked her. Word is, she's hunting for a roommate to afford her house's mortgage and taxes. Shocker. The big finale was a month ago, a week after I unpacked. It was a Saturday. I was making coffee when my security camera pinged my phone. I opened the feed. There was Laura at my front gate, peering through. She hit the intercom. "James, it's me. Let me in. We need to talk." Her voice crackled. I watched, my pulse up slightly. Not fear, just closure. She tried again, her tone sharper. She pushed the gate. I wasn't angry, just exhausted by her. So I did the most mundane thing possible. I called the non-emergency police line, explained a person previously warned in writing was on my property and wouldn't leave, and gave her name and my address. 20 minutes later, a cruiser pulled up my driveway. I watched on my phone as a calm officer spoke to Laura. No yelling, just the quiet sting of a cop telling her to leave or face trespassing charges. She drove off. I saved the footage to the cloud. I haven't heard from any of them since. And me? I'm great. Better than great. The money doesn't bring joy, but the freedom it gives does. I'm consulting on projects I love. I've reconnected with friends Laura deemed not successful enough. We laugh a ton. There's no movie-style ending where Laura sees her mistakes. People like her don't reflect. They move to the next target. Rumor is she's dating a chiropractor now. Good luck to him. I didn't seek vengeance, I sought fairness. She treated our marriage like a transaction, so I let her. She just sold at the market's low. Her loss. The other evening, I sat on my deck watching the sunset over the lake. For the first time in ages, my mind was still. No bitterness, no grudges, no plans, just peace. And that's worth more than any settlement. Thank you for watching Story. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more real-life stories.